Hey everyone, this is Corinne Lafont, your favorite radio host, your only radio host, the only favorite girl that you should be listening to. Okay, broadcasting to you from Trinidad and Tobago, a lovely island in the Caribbean. It's a beautiful day today. It's sunny. I mean, yesterday was really great too. I had a wonderful day out yesterday. And, I always start my show being grateful, being thankful. For just being here, being alive another day. Clearly, my purpose is not over. The fact that I'm still above ground, or any one of us is above ground, it means to say your purpose is not over. He's not done with you yet, whoever he is to you, right? Or she, whatever you want to call him or her, right? So I am so thankful to be here. I'm so thankful to be doing my radio show. I'm so thankful to have Dorothy Kuhn with me. She's looking beautiful. Just so ready and raring to go. Let me tell you a bit about her. And we're going to be talking about a go-getter woman, which she totally, as she said, embodies and represents. But that has not always been the case. So we're going to go into that. But before we do that, let me tell you a bit about Dorothy. She grew up a mystical Christian kid. Find that interesting. Running around the woods with her little brothers and the neighbor kids. Of course, she had to pull the neighbor's kids in that. So fascinated with how cool the world is, she had to learn all about it. She studied science, graduated in physics and maths, won her first professional position, knowing more quantum mechanics than anyone else. God, she could hang with the men. After a few years in systems engineering, she knew her best shot at advancement was into management and leadership. But how? She's here to share how you can have the career and the earnings you want, while keeping your integrity and still having a home life. So we're talking about balancing and how to accelerate your path with targeted mentoring that gives you the clarity you need so you get career momentum and achieve the impact you want for yourself, your company, and your family, all in a way that fits in your busy schedule. Isn't that the talk of the day? How do I get it all done and still have time for me, have time for my family, have time for friends, etc., etc.? Welcome, Dorothy, to Between the Lines.
Thank you, Corinne. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, so the go-getter woman, who is that?
Well, that's a woman who gets up and does what needs to be done. She knows what she wants in the future, or she's got a sense of that. She knows that there's a lot that's available to her, and sometimes she doesn't see everything that's available to her. But she has a sense that there's a way to get there. So, women who are, get up and do what needs to be done, and they know there's more for them. More is calling them into their future, but they can't quite put their finger on it, and they don't quite know what to do to make that happen. What they've been doing, hasn't been getting them the kind of raises and advancement and respect that they want and deserve. Those are the kind of women that are my best clients. I love working with them. They're just super fantastic, and a few really critical tweaks for them, and it's like that clarity, just the fog lifts and they go, this is great. So and once you're clear on what's standing in your way and how simple the path can be, then you can really take action steps, the right strategic targeted ones really build that career momentum. And that's what the executive ranks in any company is looking for in a go-getter, in a mover and a shaker. And that's the kind of woman that I just love to work with, and making sure that we avoid giving up those things that are important to us, our integrity and, our personal and family time. That those two things are critical to a life well lived.
Wonderful. So here's what I'm hearing from you, and here's some concerns I'm going to throw in there. The go-getter woman, she's too masculine. She's coming at me with an aggression. Whether it's in the corporate space or whether she's an entrepreneur. She has taken on a masculine role. I'm seeing that all over the place. She has lost her femininity. She can't make the distinction. Tell me about that. And then I'm going to throw some more spokes in there to get us going.
I love that question because that's a fear that women have. With we don't want to lose ourselves, and so the way that I describe this kind of at an introductory level is to lead with love fueled by power. And so often as women we tend to lead with love and kindness and caring, but we're not clear on how to bring that power in a way that aligns with our feminine energy, in a way that honors the person that you are and the person that you want to be. There is no point in scaling a company, climbing a mountain, when you get to the top and you go, oh, I didn't want to be here. Mm-hmm. Like, that's ridiculous. So being true and aligned to who you are is very much a deep part of the work that I help women do.
I love that. You're saying align with yourself. So it's like, I'm hearing you say, once a woman is comfortable within her being, within herself, it shouldn't matter what anybody else thinks or feels. She's on her path, she knows what she wants, and she's going for it. So whether a man or another woman or a relative friend or foe thinks that she's too aggressive or she's taken on a masculine role, a woman shouldn't be deterred by that.
Well, and the way that we avoid being deterred by that is to develop the kind of inner strength that lets us say, yeah, that's you, mm-hmm. Because other people, here's one of the things that I teach, which is really related to status. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to tell you this little story, and then we'll circle back around to the love with power right behind. Right. So in the world of business, and moving up and in an organization, or just even staying at your same level, there are human beings play status games with one another all the time. I mean, I grew up a farm girl. My grandparents had chickens. Talk about a pecking order. Chickens have got it down. And guess what? They're not the only species that gets that. Yeah. And so when other people, when we're interacting with other people, the way that we come to agreement is by two people will come together. They may or may not have the same point of view, the same frame of reference, but the thing that is necessary for communication to happen, for agreement to come to, is that quickly, like in under a second, is established which frame of reference is going to be the one by which we're communicating in this moment. Right. Which frame wins that moment, for example. And so if you have assented to somebody else's point of view, their frame has won, whether that point of view is correct or wide of the mark. Mm-hmm. And so one of the things that's really important about knowing yourself just enough, you don't have to know yourself completely. That's a game that I think, we continue to understand ourselves mm-hmm. more and more until the day we take our last breath, Courtney. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's an ongoing, journey of life, which is super cool. But in that moment, if you've got something that needs to be done to be that go-getter who gets results, you need to make to be clear about owning that frame, so that with caring, love, and respect, you get what you need for whatever it is that in your work environment you're working on at the time. And a similar thing plays out in families as well. So it's a wonderful skill to have, to be able to control the frame by which you're communicating with other people in a way that is respectful and everybody feels well held. And I will tell you, when I stumbled into this, before I knew how to describe it, when I stumbled into it, when I would do this kind of, just in the moment, without being fully educated on it, or even partially, people would love it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's what made me dive in to find out, like, what's behind, what's behind that situation. What were the elements that made it
Mm-hmm.
work, not just for me, but for everybody?
Right.
And how can I systematize that so that it shows up more often in my life? Because in the beginning, it was just like every once in a while. And every once in a while isn't enough for it to be considered, a part of, for you to feel like you own it.
Yeah. Yeah. I wanna go back into your story a bit. Let's get into your business here now. So so you said when we started the show that you were not, or even probably before we started the show, but I mentioned it at the beginning, that you were not on you the go-getter woman. You were not this person that you were, before. How did you begin to come into yourself to decide to accept who you are, to realize it's okay to
Yeah.
move towards your spirit, what your spirit is telling you, what you want to do? What was the differences between Dorothy then and Dorothy now, and what did you do to bridge that gap?
So the thing that I did to bridge that gap was, I had these moments of success in an
Mm-hmm.
otherwise, ordinary kind of working career, where what I was focused on was, doing the work, doing the work, doing the work.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized at some point, now I graduated, as you said, in physics and math. And
Yeah, what the hell?
yeah, and so, I was hired to do a lot of analysis work. My first job was for a military contractor in North Alabama, Huntsville, and beautiful part of the Southeast.
Mm-hmm.
But they, it was very clear to me that as geeky as I was, there were people who were geekier than me. And, in a company like that, you can go up the management chain or you can go up the technical ladder, from, there are different gradations up
Yeah.
to fellow and senior fellow for those technical. And I was not the triple integral kind, if you know calculus.
No, we're not going there, Dorothy.
Going there now. But I wasn't that triple integral gal, and so I thought, well, I don't want to stay in the analysis pool forever. And I can't compete with those triple integral guys. They're always going to be the senior fellows. I've got to go. Management is my option, and so I gave it a try. And I will tell you, the first time I failed and got demoted back down to the analysis pool. I am living proof that does not kill you. In fact, it's incredibly common because it's a new skill set to manage people. And if you've been managing people, then and doing that pretty well, then it's a new skill set to move up. And what really stops us in our tracks in moving up is fear that we won't be good enough, right? And B, we're not really clear on what are the sufficient conditions for us to be able to move up, and what are the sufficient skills that are really helpful to know before, and what are the things we can learn once we're there.
You have a unique position, meaning you have the mathematical, scientific, technical mind training, yeah? But you have switched over to management, which brings that social, behavioral, non-mathematical thing. You can't use maths, science to deduce or to explain somebody's behavior. As much as they're trying, it's a soft, intangible type of thing.
Yeah.
How, what would you say? I'm trying to frame the question because, okay, I'm trying to frame the question here. What do you think? I mean, you come from both sides. Let's say both sides of the coin. Which would you say would be the best approach, or looking at it in terms of somebody's behavior, management? You're dealing with people, you're dealing with human resources, you're dealing with their issues, their challenges, productivity, etc., etc. Would you come at it from a mathematical, scientific background, or would you come at it from a social type of background to be able to understand people, not only in work life, and I'm not talking about work alone, I'm talking about relationships, meeting people, just sitting down in an airport, watching people, making new friends, entering into personal love relationships. What would you say to something like that, having both the technical, scientific, math, physics background and now having management?
Well, that's a really great question, and it goes to the heart of sufficient conditions. So one of the things that's really important from so my short answer is holding both of those things in creative tension is really valuable.
Okay.
And so if you're a heart-centered person, you want to know what are the necessary things that you've got to do, and you've got to know how you can tell whether you've got those or not. That's some kind of criteria and measurement, which comes across at least as counting, right? Yeah, it doesn't have to be calculus, that's for sure. And if you're just over here on the math and calculus side and looking for the numbers, you don't connect with other people in order to get that kind of energetic exchange and to build trust. That really is trust is a felt thing that relies in part on that feeling of connection and on the evidence that it's real and somebody's not just scamming you. Right?
Yeah.
So I look at it both ways, and there's, wherever you are, there's always room to improve. I'm always looking to improve and up level myself, and the way that I choose how I'm going to do that is to look at the results I'm getting, that kind of measurement, and see if it's enough, or just going gangbusters. If it is, I don't need to change anything for now. But if it's not the results that you want, then you need to look and see, where's my opportunity for a little tweak here, a little tweak there, and how to build in a new perspective, a new way to hold things energetically, within you. If there's a part of you that wants something and a part of you that is scared of having that something, guess what side is going to win? Yeah. And so diving in and to what's behind that fear and gaining some clarity and resolution on that is so powerful.
Why does that other side win? Why it can't be the side that you want something? Shouldn't that be the stronger one as opposed to the fear? Why it is that the other side wins? Why?
That is a great question. It has to do with brain biology. Do you want a little geeky moment on brain biology?
Of course.
Oh, it's so much fun. I'm not a biologist, and I don't play one on YouTube. But your brain has, there are a lot of parts in your brain, but the three major parts that really contribute to your ability to think and make decisions and move forward in life are your neocortex. That's the part that we call our conscious mind. It's the part that does language and mathematics and features, benefits, and it's the part we go to school for.
Right.
It's really important. It makes virtually no decisions, almost none.
Okay.
So where do those decisions get made? Our neuroscientists, who are so cool to me, have measured this. They can measure where decisions are made. And one of the places, the next, so the neocortex is our most sophisticated and evolved part of our brain. And the one that's closest to it after that is the midbrain. It processes social interactions. Who's up, who's down? Are they friendly? Are they not? Am I included or am I excluded?
Right.
So the decisions that the midbrain makes really has a lot to do with inclusion and acceptance. And those decisions get made very quickly. And then there's the brain stem, often called the crocodile brain,
Mm-hmm.
or something like that, the reptilian brain sometimes.
Yes, I've heard
And
that too. Mm-hmm.
yeah. And so it's the brain stem. It's the most primitive part of the brain, and its job is to keep you alive. And so it makes, like only 3 decisions. I've got something in front of me. Am I gonna eat it? Am I gonna kill it? Well, 4 decisions: eat it, kill it, mate with it. We're not doing that here.
Mm-hmm.
Or run away from it.
Wow.
And you can, and it is lightning fast. There is no faster decision there, because its job is to keep you alive to the next moment. If you're not alive, you don't have any chance to procreate and pass your genes on to the next generation.
Like the survival mode.
Yes, very much survival mode. And fear, that brain stem that is lightning fast, fear is its a primary tool for keeping you alive.
Yeah.
It's why advertising and political ads and things like that, tend to be really fear-based, because it's lightning fast and extraordinarily effective.
Wow. So for the go-getter woman, I wanna create some kind of scenarios. We are a go-getter woman, and I said we because I'm one of those. So you want something, you're aggressively going after it, you set out some goals, but somehow you still find yourself not getting where you want, you're spinning top in mud. Sometimes you're up, sometimes you're down, you get despondent. You still want that thing because you're working towards that sort of financial freedom, that flexibility, that live that life. You see the vision, you see yourself, the life that you want. You play that movie out in front of you, but somehow it's not coming together. The pieces are not fitting together, and you find yourself struggling. How do you, like you mentioned that word, move away that fog? How do you figure out what is blocking you? How do you work with persons, to women, because we're specifically talking about women here? And the challenge with women is that they carry so many roles, unlike the men. I mean, I'm not bashing men, but we know the woman carries so many roles. So we have to be mother, wife, etc. I mean, men can say they have to be father, husband, but we know the woman carry the heavier weight. We know. Let's not pretend here. So, right. So with all of that that's going on with us, and we are still trying to move ahead with our careers, move ahead with our business, make a life. Because when we're making that life and playing out that movie, it's not necessarily for us alone, to be alone in that movie. We don't want to be the star, the supporting cast and everything. We want people to come along with us. We want our children, our family, our friends to come along with us. So when we play that movie, we are seeing the full cast. We're seeing all the credits coming up on the screen. I don't know about anybody else, but for a woman, for me, that's how I see it. I don't know if anybody wants to be the only name on the credit going up. But how do we move that fog to get us where we want to go? And especially as we're getting older, we're in our 40s, 50s, and we just can't seem to get it right. What's happening? What's happening, Dorothy?
So one of the things that there's some really interesting pattern level differences between the testosterone infused brain and the estrogen infused brain.
Mm-hmm.
And those things, going back to, back when we lived very much more in nature, and, threats from wild beasts were, threats to life were happening on a pretty regular basis, and it was hard to stay alive. Then at that time, the people who survived to pass on their genes to the future, that we call those more ancient societies hunter-gatherer societies. Yeah. And it wasn't that every person was a hunter and a gatherer. Generally speaking, there were hunters and gatherers, and generally speaking, they were men and women. Mm-hmm. And the thing that testosterone does for the human brain, and if you know any trans people in your life who have made the female to male transition and are doing that kind of hormone therapy, they are very likely to be able to tell you, wow, what a difference it is, living life with T, or testosterone, as they like to call it, T. But anyway, you will, that hormone hyper focuses people. And you think about, hunter-gatherer societies where, a group of generally men would go out, hunting for some large beast. They didn't want to spend a whole lot of energy hunting for a rabbit that wouldn't feed enough people. But they hunt for some large beast. They had a hyper focus or die.
Mm-hmm.
They could not pay attention to any little thing. And the ones who were able to hyper focus, on the objective and get it done and not pay any attention to those little things, that are getting in their way, those are the people who lived to pass on their genes. Now, the complement to that was our ancient foremothers, who were, they were more the gatherers. It does, and so paying attention to all those little details of gathering fruits and berries and other kinds of plants for food was really important. It was critical to know, in this season, and these are as women, we carry a huge database of detail within us, in our minds, where we know that when the fruit is this color, it's ripe and ready. If it's not ripe and ready, it's bitter and makes you sick, and those kinds of things. It's really useful in rearing babies, because you want to be able to notice those little subtle things that indicate illness early, so you can do something about it before it's blown up and way too late. So I always want to honor. Here's what I tell my clients. It is important to honor. You can't leave your biology, but you can step above it. And so holding all of that detail, as we often do as women, it really helps us to honor that. And then to rise above. For this situation, is all that detail necessary? Yes or no? Oftentimes the answer is no. And so if all that detail is here's a really hot tip, if you've got all of that head chatter going about, well, this is important, and this is important, and this is important, your estrogen and your brain are serving you as, in that very, a cavewoman kind of role, which has tremendous utility. But if that's not useful in the moment for your work, then one hot tip to get that, to honor those thoughts, but get them out of your way, is just to write them down. I call it my brain dump list. And just to dump it all out on your brain, out of your brain, onto a little notepad on your computer or your phone, whatever, or just on a piece of paper, so that you've honored the thought and you can move on and focus. And focus is really, in business, in a lot of areas of life, that focus is really key to success, because you can do anything, but you cannot do everything.
Yeah. I prefer saying, because I've looked at my life too, and I know a lot of people struggle with this, the discipline and consistency. Once you've set a goal or something that you want to do, it don't matter how minuscule or major it is, if you're not disciplined and consistent, it's not going to go. The start, stop, and most of us suffer from that. We call it procrastination. Yeah, we start, we stop. It's the one, oh my God, thing that literally kills you. And to just be consistent, doing it every day, inching, whether you like it or not. It comes just like exercise. You need to exercise, you need to eat healthy, but what it is that's stopping you from doing it every day, whether you're sick, whether you want to turn off that alarm, put it on snooze, whatever it is, you just need to pull yourself, yank yourself out. I think discipline and consistency are the two keys to helping you to get where you want to go. Because once you just keep at it, inching, not worrying about, oh my God, I should have been at this point. You talk about seasons, right? People have different seasons in their life, and things are not going to happen for you when you may want it. Just like how you may plant something and you're like, when is this plant going to come out of the ground? When am I going to be able to reap? You just have no idea. You just have to keep tending it, loving it, watering it, giving it sun, nutrition, and stuff like that. So it's discipline. It's being able to say, you know, I'm going to stick with this no matter what. It's consistency, meaning I am going to keep feeding this plant. I'm going to keep feeding my goals no matter what. When it's ready, it's going to give. You know, it's going to give. Do you agree with that statement? And is there anything you would want to add to that?
So I totally agree with the building in good habits part and being faithful to those habits on an everyday basis. I do in some areas. I think that having I did this when I was needing to lose some weight. I'd been struggling on different ways to be on a better diet, a better lifestyle.
Mhm.
I don't use the diet word anymore. It's really, you know, I want a lifestyle
Yeah.
and an eating style that fits the season of life that I'm in.
Right.
And you know, I when I wasn't 20 anymore and could eat anything that I wanted in those
Right.
it didn't matter, you know. As children came along and such, I found that I had about 30 extra pounds on me. Most of it was between my knees and my ribs. Thank you very much. It looked so great. Awesome.
Why does it do that to us? Oh my God.
It was awful. And so I tried different things. And the thing, and so this is just like an illustration point. The thing that I stumbled into was just giving up light things. And I always have to have fun with this kind of stuff. I said, well, I'm going to try this for just a week, you know, because like corn chips, that kind of falls into the white category a little bit for me because they're so carby, you know. But I said, I can try this for just a week and see how it goes. And so I did, and I will tell you, and the way that I told myself to have fun with it is I said, Dorothy, you are a white girl. You can leave that mess behind. And so I did it for a week, and a week later, Corinne, I felt better, which was really what I wanted because I had been feeling awful. But the bonus was I'd lost 2 pounds.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I thought, well, I can do this for another week. And I did that for a few weeks. And then I hit that plateau kind of area.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is true. With building in a new habit, you want to be dedicated to it, you know, for a chunk of time and give, you know, don't tell yourself necessarily, I have to do this forever. You know, give yourself a week and then come to a place where you can celebrate whatever win you've got. Celebrating the wins is critical.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And some people celebrate with a whole tub of ice cream. No. You don't want to celebrate with a whole tub of ice cream.
Exactly.
But you reward yourself in different ways. You know, I'm not here to tell people how they can reward. I mean, you have to be reasonable in your different ways. And it's not only a matter of exercise. It's also a matter of rewarding yourself, saying, for example, if you set out one goal for the week, you say by the end of this week, I must be able to say that I've done this. And you can say, yeah, I did it. Or you can do it at the end of the day. You just set out one thing for the day and you say, okay, I did that. And you know, I remember beating up on myself for not doing it because sometimes, you know, the feeling takes you that you're not supposed to do that today. You know, you're overcome with that, and like somehow your spirit is telling you, don't do that today. Tomorrow will come, don't do it tomorrow. And you just find time is going, and but there will come a time when there's a burst of energy that is saying, this is the time you need to work on this thing. And you just put your whole self and you complete the entire project without even realizing, because that was the moment. Do you believe in, we talk about discipline and we talk about consistency, yes, but when you move with your spirit, because I'm a spiritual being, and everybody, I'm hoping that everybody understands that they're a spiritual being. We're just borrowing this body, this frame, this vehicle to walk around and people identify us. Do you believe that, you know, is there something wrong? Is that a matter of wrong or right? I don't know. That's the best word I can come up with following what your spirit is telling you, even though you have set goals for yourself and you become frustrated with the fact that time is going and I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do. Am I just lazy? Somebody will look at you and say, oh, you're just lazy. You're not pushing hard enough. You're not, you know, people will become judgmental on you. How would you speak to that person? Because I'm sure there are persons who will be listening to this who are going through that and they feel I'm not I'm not getting where I need to go. I'm just being lazy. I'm just not getting, doing the things that I know I'm supposed to be doing today, tomorrow, next week. Look at where I am and time has gone. I don't want them to feel bad, but yet I want them to recognize what's happening with them, because like I mentioned to somebody at time, I said, gosh, I started reading a book and geez, like I can't finish read the book, and the person said to me, probably because what you were meant to read is what you were meant to read. You didn't need to read the entire book. You just needed, at the moment in time in your life, you just needed that 1 or 2 chapters. And there will come a time when you would go back into that book and you will read the other chapters. Don't beat up on yourself. It's what you needed at that point in time. And that totally, I mean, when the girl, as a young girl, when she totally told me that, I was like, whoa, you totally reframed my mind on how I look at when I want to accomplish things, and I beat up on myself so hard for not doing it. I want to hear your thoughts on that, because we're talking to go-getter woman here. We're talking to go-getter woman here.
So in the context of the go-getter woman, I have 2 comments on this. One is, I think your friend is exactly right. That is what you needed in the moment to get you to that next step. Which is valuable and to be celebrated. That's a win, and a win in the best way. So the counterpoint to that is, and I'm always going to look at Will on the one side, Will on the other side. It's a useful frame of reference, or a frame of looking at how well things serve you, serve us in the moment. And we want to do things that really serve us. So it's true that can satisfy you for the immediate need that you were aware of. But remember when we were talking about those kind of different parts of the brain, that one can want something and another part of the brain can be scared of it, right? So one of the reasons that just a little bit of that book, for example, can satisfy you is that it got you to a place where you got a little bit of benefits. So the part that wanted something is happy, but the fear part may be the part that's holding you back from doing that. And so diving into those fears and cleaning up those fears, the fears that we have are so often formed when we're little tiny kids. We don't know much about the world, and so we just make the best meaning out of what happens to us as little kids in our families and our towns. We make the best meaning that we can. It's rarely useful as adults. And so being able to dive in and clean up those fears is critical to being a go-getter woman, because it means that you can make progress rather than progress long wait. Life does not go on forever. Long waits are killers. And if you want to be a go-getter, you've got you need a strategy that honors you, that also lets you make progress faster. That's what makes for a
what would be that one tip or strategy that you would suggest to the go-getter woman to
Oh, I love it. And there's more on this on my site, but we'll get to that.
I'm going to pull that up right now while you talk about it. I'm going to pull that up right now.
Oh, okay.
So you keep talking.
Okay, so the one thing is, when you come up to this place where you want to go forward and you can't go forward, that means that part of you wants it and part of you fears it. In all likelihood, like over 90% of the cases. So it's a worthwhile thing to be able to explore. And so go to your quiet place, your spiritual place. Where you can really rest into the divine, however you hold that, with your religious or spiritual tradition, and go to that place where you can really kind of just rest in and feel that fear. And then once you're feeling that fear, ask it questions. Say, I'm here to honor you. Because you don't want it to kind of run away and hide, right? Those feelings will run away and hide really quickly. because fear will run, right? It wants safety.
Mm-hmm.
So honor it, be gentle with it, and say, what is it that you really want? And write it down just on just a few words. Write it down. And then what will that do for you? You can treat fear as though it were another person.
Mm-hmm.
What will that do for you? Write down whatever the answer is. What will that do for me? Write down what the answer is. What will that do for my family? Write down whatever the answer is, and find out what are those things that are fearing, because those fears are things that meanings that we made when we were little. It doesn't mean that they were well thought out, because we were little.
Yeah.
And once you've got that, you can say, well, you can look at that and say, what can I do about each of those things? How can I provide protection?
Mm-hmm.
There's gold on the other side of diving into fear.
Mm-hmm.
Fear seems scary. We don't want to necessarily do into it, but I tell you, when you've got the kahunas, and for me, I want everybody to step up with their own kahunas, whether they're ovaries or testes, I don't care.
Yeah,
Well,
step up. Step up and step up proud.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so, stepping into that, and there's gold on the other side of understanding that fear.
Yeah. I see your website here with your beautiful face.
Oh,
so, yes, and you're doing a giveaway. So we're going to round up the show now, showing off your giveaway. So grab your checklist here. And this checklist is about, for every go-getter woman who chooses to be respected, seen, heard, promoted, and make more money. Obviously, yes. Discover why employers are competing for you and what to do so they pay you and promote you. Yeah, so they value you and they value your time.
Exactly. And I will tell you that in this season and in this year, big employers are very much competing for women and for diversity of any kind. And the reason behind it, it's a market driven thing. Here in the US and other kind of European countries, the population is becoming more diverse. That means that the consumer, the buyer base for these large companies is becoming more diverse. And every one of those companies, so many of them are now having a chief diversity officer. PepsiCo, a place I used to work in the IT side of PepsiCo years ago, and they were huge on diversity, even back then. This was in the early 2000s. And the reason that really matters is that every company wants to be able to connect with their customer and their buying base. And you can do that with research and data, but if you don't have people in the upper echelons and the high level decision making who are representative, of the people who are your buying base, your customers, then you will not be able to read that well, right? It's just like here in the U.S., I have friends on both sides of the aisle, kind of politically, right. and the ones who don't understand, they think that racism is like, am I being nice to you or mean to you? They think of it as a person-to-person kind of thing. Am I a racist or not? And that's not the important thing. What's really important is is the systemic ways in which racism plays out. And it's hard for people to see that sometimes, systemic things, so they don't get how important it is to be a good ally. Yeah. And they can't do anything about it. And when you've got lots and lots of those kinds of people in the upper echelons of a company, they're not going to be able to see the kinds of things that chase away customers, in a growing diverse population such as we have here in the U.S., which I think is a pretty cool thing.
We're here at the middle of the year. We're in the we've started the second half of the year. What would you tell women, whether they're a go-getter, they're on the way to go-getter, they want to be a go-getter, or they are a go-getter? What would you tell, the one thing that you would tell a go-getter woman to do for the second half of the year to end 2018 on a bang, and then we will wrap up the show?
The one thing that I would tell them to do is to make sure that you've got a good mentor. If you've been wanting something for a while, whether that mentor is me or someone else that is a great fit for you, get a wonderful mentor who has been on the path that you're on, and is ahead of you on that path, because that is somebody who knows your pain, who knows how to get to success, and can pull you forward into the life that you want, who can hold you and honor you as you take your steps and help clear the way for you. And most of the obstacles are just, up leveling the way we think. It's stepping from old thinking into the new thinking that really allows you to capture the opportunity that is very real in this season.
Fabulous. Fabulous way to end the show. I'm going to stop sharing the screen so that I can see your lovely face take up the entire screen. Yay. Thank you so much, Dorothy Kuhn. I mean, it's been a pleasure talking with you. We spent even more than the 30 minutes, which normally happens to me when I'm talking to my guests on my show, but that's okay. I had a wonderful, wonderful discussion with you. I mean, it's bubbly. It's just so super informative. We did both sides of the coin, the maths and the social, I mean, this is absolutely awesome. It's good when a woman can be balanced like that, to understand and be able to have conversations, on both sides. This is absolutely awesome. I thank you for sharing about the Go-Getter Woman, whether you're there, whether you're on your way there, we can all be there. And even if you're not, there's nothing wrong with that, because it's what you consider to be a go-getter. You can be a go-getter mom. You can be a go-getter in business. You can be a go-getter in your own, just in your lifestyle. You may be a fitness enthusiast. You just want to keep fit and be an example for other people. That's a go-getter. You can be an example for a lot of other women and young girls out there, speaking, teaching. It doesn't matter. It is not only in the frame, and don't make people put you in their frame as to what a go-getter woman supposed to be. It's what you want it to be. Don't live in anybody else's frame. Thank you so much, Dorothy Kuhn.
Thank you, Corinne. It has been a pleasure being here. You are a wonderful host and a great interviewer.
Thank you.